LawSikho's thorough newspaper analysis for 2nd and 3rd November 2023. चले आज के एडिटोरियल सेक्शन की तरफ चलते हैं, जो एक एक्सटेंशन है that we covered in the previous TNA, where we talked about the women's reproductive right and how it was linked to the MTP Act, and what is the Supreme Court say on that particular pregnancy rights. So the particular editorial comes up from The Hindu. Then we'll be talking about some interesting news update for national news and the international news. And lastly, interesting legal news update coming from the Honorable Supreme Court today. Okay, now let us talk about impacting a woman's freedom to reproductive choices. This particular editorial is related to a permission which was seeken by a woman who wanted to terminate a 26-week-long pregnancy. So on October 16th, in X versus Union of India, the Supreme Court has declined to give the permission to a woman who wanted to terminate the pregnancy, which was 26-week-long pregnancy. Now, so a bench presided by Honorable Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud held that the woman's case fall outside the purview of the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971, because the act specifies to permit the termination of pregnancy beyond 24 weeks only in cases where the fetus exhibited substantial abnormality or where a woman's life was under direct threat. And in the present case, both were not the scenarios. The woman was actively, suo motu, wanted to terminate the pregnancy because of the fact that she was going through depression and she did not have that financial, arrangements to handle or to adopt, care that baby effectively. So judgment falls short of bestowing any explicit rights to the unborn. Now, but the upshot of this conclusion is that when a fetus becomes viable and is capable of surviving outside the mother uterus, the woman's right to choose stand extinguished. So what does it mean? That if the fetus in the womb is capable of surviving, then the woman's right to choose the termination of pregnancy is extinguished, barring circumstances where the specific condition which I told you right now, that if the woman's life is under threat or fetus exhibited has substantial abnormality, the specific conditions outlined in the MTP Act are met. Now, in so holding, the judgment suffers from at least two errors. So the judgment has substantial two errors. First one is that the judgment does not engage with this question and as a result places the right of a fetus at the pedestal above that of the rights of pregnant women to her privacy and dignity. So the right of the unborn person has been given a substantial more value than the woman's rights to privacy and dignity. And secondly, the court fails to examine whether the MTP Act is merely an enabling legislation. Had this question been put up before the Honorable Supreme Court, the court would have certainly answered it and considered it whether a woman ought to be allowed to terminate her pregnancy outside the terms spelled out in the legislation. So if the right to freely make reproductive choices is fundamental, flowing from the Constitution itself, the court ought to scarcely feel injunctive from issuing directions beyond the MTP's Act remit. Now, what are the rights of the unborn person that have been dealt with in this judgment? We'll talk about here. So even more damaging here is that the judgment implicit assertion that the unborn have the constitutional right. Our jurisprudence on abortion has been built on a converse premise or a converse thought process that does not guarantee the right to the unborn but guarantees right to the woman, privacy and dignity. So the guarantee of the Article 14 and 21 of the Constitution, the right of equal protection and life are conferred on persons, and the Constitution decidedly does not award personhood to the unborn person. As it happens, even the MTP Act makes no such assertion. For if it could not be plausibly create an exception from the timelines it stipulates to cases where a pregnant woman's life is under immediate and direct threat. Now, the conclusion comes here is that there is no place within our constitutional structure to see unborn as anything but dependent on the mother. To see it as a separate, distinct personality would be a tantamount to conferring a set of rights on it that the Constitution grants to no other class of person. Such a reading would efface altogether a jurisprudence that grants primacy to the woman's freedom to make reproductive choices, which is enshrined in Article 14 and 21 of the Constitution. So the judgment falls of some sort of giving primacy to the right of women, and they have given more rights to the unborn child and declining the permission to terminate the pregnancy, which is 26-week long. So this was all about the Supreme Court judgment coming, where the Supreme Court has declined and have not allowed to permit the termination of pregnancy. चले आज के नेशनल न्यूज की तरफ चलते हैं. कश्मीर Zahid Hussain beats China's World Cup winner at Asian Shooting Championship 2023, and Manu Bhaker qualifies for Paris 2024. So these are the two news. Let us first talk about Zahid Hussain. So the Kashmiri shooter from the region made his presence felt at the Asian Shooting Championship. He won a silver medal for India in the competition in South Korea. Zahid Hussain won the second prize in the men's 50-meter rifle prawn event and finished with 624.5 points overall. Now, Manu Bhaker qualifies for Paris 2024 Olympics after she finished 5th in the women's 25-meter pistol final at the Asian Shooting Championship in South Korea's Changwon. This is India's 11th quota in shooting for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games and 5th by a woman shooter. So in this particular slide, we have covered the two news. Chale? Aligarh Muslim University to launch its own satellite. So Aligarh Muslim University, known famously as AMU, has initiated work on its own ambitious space program, which has been approved by the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, working under the Department of Space. The project involves the development of SSAMU SAT. SSAMU SAT is a nano satellite project which began in November 21 under AMU Robo Club. So in September 2023, the Student Satellite Committee, chaired by Dr. P.K. Jain, Director of Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, reviewed the design and approved the proposal with the condition that AMU will sign an MOU with the organization for all the activities from the development of SSAMU SAT to its launch into the lower Earth orbit. So it's a very phenomenal news coming from as the university will be setting up its own satellite in the lower Earth orbit. Now, Maratha quota row, Maharashtra government to issue 11,500 plus Kunbi certificates. So the Maharashtra government will likely issue over 11,500 Kunbi caste certificates to Maratha community members. This comes amid violent protests by the Maratha community for quota under OBC category. However, Maharashtra Chief Minister Shri Eknath Shinde said the Revenue Department would issue Kunbi certificate to only those having valid documents. He also promised a curative petition to reinstate the quota guaranteed to Marathas in 2018. Now, the story behind this particular reservation. The Marathas, who currently fall under the general category, has been agitating to press for their demand to be recognized under the OBC category. However, Kunbi, an agricultural community and a subset of a Maratha community, has reserved quota since they come under OBCs and are eligible for reservation in education and government positions. Moreover, other community within OBC, including the Kunbis, oppose the demand for Maratha reservation, fearing that the new entrants will eat their quotas. So a new coming up Kunbi certificates will be issued under the Maratha quota. Now, Karnataka Rajyotsava Day is celebrated on November 1. Now, transcending the backgrounds and boundaries, Karnataka Rajyotsava Day is celebrated on November 1 to commemorate the day when Kannada dominant regions in South India merged together to form the state of Karnataka. Now, history. Let us see how Karnataka state became. So initially, starting of the movement, Aluru Venkata Rao dreamt of creating a Karnataka state in 1905. So in 1950, when provinces were being divided in India on the basis of language spoken in respective region, so the state of Mysore was born in South India. On November 1, 1956, surrounding areas of Madras, Bombay, Hyderabad with Kannada speakers were merged with Mysore to create a singular Kannada dominant territory. Even with new areas as a part of boundary, the unified state was still under the core name of Mysore. However, the people of North Karnataka were not in favor of retention of its original name, and so on 1st November 1973, the state was renamed as Karnataka. At the time of historical decision, Devaraja Arasu was the state of chief minister. Okay, so it's a very interesting story how Karnataka formed. And the particular day is celebrated as an opportunity to pay tribute to the state, rejoice at its progress over the year, and work towards its continued excellence. Clear है सबको? चलें. Prime Minister launches Mera Yuva Bharat, My Bharat platform on the National Unity Day. तो पहले ये समझ लेते हैं कि National Unity Day 31st अक्टूबर को मनाया जाता है. So National Unity Day is celebrated on October 31st, and Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi has launched Mera Yuva Bharat platform on this particular day. Now, the vision. The vision is very pivotal, technological driven facilitator for youth development and youth-led development with the overreaching goal of providing equitable opportunity to empower the youth in realizing their aspirations and contributing to the creation of Viksit Bharat, that is developed India. It envisions a framework where the youth of our country can seamlessly connect with programs, mentors, and their local community. Now, this particular My Bharat program and autonomous body will benefit the youth in the age group of 15 se 29, 15 to 29 years, in line with definition of youth in the National Youth Policy. So as per the government, youth is categorizing from 15 to 29 years. The beneficiary will be in age group of 10 to 19 years. It will be a physical plus digital platform comprising physical activity along with opportunity to connect digitally. So it was launched on National Unity Day, which is celebrated on 31st of October. Former Bombay High Court Judge Justice C.V. Bhadang appointed President of Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. So the appointment committee of the cabinet has given its approval to appoint Justice C.V. Bhadang as the President of Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. Justice Bhadang was born on November 5th in Khamgaon district, Bulandhana. He earned his LLB degree from Nagpur University, and his legal practice predominantly focused on civil and criminal law in the district court and the Nagpur bench of Bombay High Court. He was elevated to the position of judge in Bombay High Court in 2014, where he served until his retirement on November 4, 2022. So he is appointed as the President of Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. Sachin Tendulkar's grand statue unveiled at Wankhede Stadium. So a grand statue of India's legendary cricketer Sachin Tendulkar has been unveiled at the iconic Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. Maharashtra Chief Minister Shri Eknath Shinde presided over the grand ceremony that witnessed the unveiling of Tendulkar's statue at his home ground. The cricketing maestro was accompanied by his wife Anjali and daughter Sara. Distinguished dignitaries in attendance included former BCCI and ICCI Chief Sharad Pawar, the current BCCI Secretary Jay Shah, Treasurer Ashish Shelar, Vice President Rajiv Shukla, and Mumbai Cricket Association President Amol Kale, and among others. So a grand statue unveiled at Wankhede Stadium, and this particular statue was unveiled before India versus Sri Lanka match that happened yesterday. One Nation, One Registration platform has been set up to launch by the National Medical Council for doctors across India. The National Medical Council will unveil a patch pilot of the National Medical Register in the next 6 months, where doctors will be allotted a unique identification number. Doctors can also apply their license to work in any state depending upon where they are. So it will be a common portal for registration for the doctors. Now, National Medical Commission has been constituted by the Act of Parliament known as National Medical Commission Act 2019. It has replaced the National Medical Council of India, which was constituted under the Indian Medical Council Act 1956. So, One Nation, One Registration platform for doctors across India. Next national news coming up for the appointment sector, where we talk about RBI appoints Dr. Rajiv Ranjan as new executive director. So, Dr. Rajiv Ranjan has been appointed as a new executive director for RBI, and experience having more than 3 decades in macroeconomic policy and research, including monetary policy, fiscal policy, real sector, external sector, and international relation. Mr. Ranjan will look after the monetary policy department and will also serve as a ex officio member of monetary policy committee. Chale, clear hai? Jharkhand launches a Abua Awas Yojana housing scheme. It has been launched by the cabinet, a housing scheme designated to provide 8 lakh pakka houses to homeless individuals in the state. A total budget of 16,000 crore will be allotted in 3 phases, and it will be there for building pakka houses to homeless individuals. Now, international news coming up by the Cayman Islands removal from anti-money laundering grey list. The Ministry of Financial Services on 27th of October announced the decision of the Financial Action Task Force to remove the Cayman Island from its anti-money laundering grey list. The decision was made as a result of Cayman Island adherence to the globally accepted standard of anti-money laundering regime. The FATF, that is Financial Action Task Force, added the Cayman Island to its grey list of countries in February 21 and provided 3 action points required for FATF compliance. So that particular compliance has been done and it has been out of the grey list now. Now, legal update coming from the Honorable Supreme Court in Munshi Shah versus State of Bihar, where the court stated that the grant of bail can't be dependent on surrender of co-accused. So the court, by the division bench, Justice Aniruddha Bose and Bela M. Trivedi, held that they allowed a bail plea, held that the grant of bail to a co-accused person cannot be contingent on the surrender of another accused who is also pertinently the main accused in the case. The court made this observation while deciding a bail plea of an accused in a dowry death case. It is important to note that the appellant is the brother of the husband and also an accused. It may also be noted that the husband has been absconding and the trial had begun without he being arrested. Another Supreme Court case coming, where the Supreme Court rules Section 362 of CRPC does not apply to bail orders. And the case name is Ramadhar Sahu versus State of Madhya Pradesh, where the court talked about putting a bar on a court to modify its orders, save and accept clerical or arithmetical mistake. It is not applicable in a case of filing a fresh bail application under the changed circumstances. The bench of Justice Aniruddha Bose and Justice Bela M. Trivedi said that an order for refusal of bail inherently carries certain characteristics of an interlocutory order, in that certain variation or alteration in the context in which a bail plea is dismissed confers on the detained accused right to file a fresh application for bail on certain changed circumstances. So Section 362 of CRPC does not apply to bail orders. Now, a very important information that we want to give. Jammu and Kashmir pre-exam happened, and the results are in, and we have a very exciting news to share with you all. From our TNAs, that is thorough newspaper analysis that are coming, financial digest, current affairs compendium, and the TNA quiz that we put it in the description of this particular video. We have targeted 13 questions from 20 question of GK. So जम्मू कश्मीर में 20 क्वेश्चन जीके के आए थे, उसमें से 13 क्वेश्चन हमारे इन हाउस मटेरियल और टीएनए का जो क्विज आप अटेम्प्ट करते हैं उसमें आए हैं. So if you want to join our judiciary course, do contact in this particular email ID and the contact number. Do submit your quiz. That is, the link is given in this particular description of the today's TNA, so that you can revise well and attempt the questions in your competitive exam and clear it. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.